The bottle of aged champagne exploded against the flawless Italian marble, bursting apart with a sharp crack that echoed through the ballroom. Golden liquid and jagged glass sprayed across the polished floor like luxury shrapnel. Fakia Adi froze, her perfectly contoured face tightening into a mask of icy rage as she stared at her red-bottomed heels, now soaked and sticky. Laughter died instantly among the Lagos elite gathered inside the Banana Island mansion. Fakia's lips curled as she hissed, "Clean it." Her voice sliced through the silence. "Then leave. You are fired." The young server collapsed to her knees, trembling as she gathered broken glass with bare hands. Blood bloomed across her palms, staining the marble, but no one moved to help her. No one dared. In Lagos high society, it was common knowledge that crossing Fakia Adi meant professional death. She was engaged to Tundi Balogon, the most feared CEO in Nigeria, and she wielded that title like a loaded weapon. A deep, commanding voice cut through the tension. Enough. The room fell silent as Tunde stepped forward, his presence alone heavy enough to still breath. Tall and broad at 6'3", he wore a bespoke navy pinstripe suit that clung to his powerful frame with effortless authority. His obsidian eyes flicked toward Fakia, carrying a warning sharp enough to bruise. "You are making a scene at our engagement party." Fakia's fury dissolved instantly into a polished, artificial smile. "I was only maintaining standards, my love." She reached for his arm, her voice sweet, rehearsed. From the shadows of the kitchen doorway, Amaka watched everything, her heart pounding violently against her ribs. Only days earlier, she had been a first-class graduate. Now she was a domestic worker, clinging to dignity for the sake of her brother's medical school fees. She pressed her fingers to the small cross at her neck, grounding herself. "Keep your head down," whispered a woman beside her. Mama Ife, the head housekeeper, stood stiff and watchful. "Start tomorrow at 5 a.m. Stay invisible, especially around Miss Fakia, and whatever you do, don't look at Master Tunde." Her voice dropped. "That man has ended companies for less." Amaka nodded, swallowing her fear, though her honey-brown eyes betrayed her curiosity as they lingered on the CEO. Just hours earlier, she had arrived in Lagos on a battered yellow Danfo bus, stepping onto cracked pavement far removed from the quiet halls of the University of Ibadan. She clutched a worn leather bag holding her first-class linguistics degree paper that felt unbearably heavy, because it could not stop her family home from being seized by greedy relatives. Her skin, usually glowing, was dulled by dust from the long journey, but her posture remained regal. Misfortune had not bent her spine. She had come to the city of dreams and nightmares for one reason, only to keep her younger brother in medical school. When the taxi crossed into Banana Island, passing armed guards and manicured hedges, the Balogun mansion rose before her like a glass fortress, cold and untouchable. Inside, central air replaced Lagos' humidity. Mama Efe examined Amaka with eyes that had witnessed 3 decades of Balogun secrets. "Brubble ki alar pa in have cage of the citri. You are the girl from Ibadan," she said flatly. "Bikwedi attendi, that tax of the Akapi diacades, that the Kambage Kadi in this house, silence is currency. Fold your degree small and hide it. It will not scrub floors." She handed Amaka a stiff gray uniform. "This is not a house," she whispered. "It is a battlefield." Days later, Amaka stood outside the master study with a tray of espresso. Her hands were steady despite her racing heart. "Enter," came a voice deep as the Atlantic. Inside, power lived in silence. Bookshelves stretched to the ceiling, but the true dominance came from the floor-to-ceiling glass wall overlooking the lagoon. Tunde stood with his back to her, shoulders tense beneath tailored fabric. As Amaka stepped forward, her foot caught a lamp base. The tray tilted, cups slid. Before disaster struck, a hand shot out fast, precise, predatory, and steadied everything. She gasped, finding herself inches from the executioner of Broad Street. Slowly, impossibly, she lifted her gaze and met his eyes. No fear, no apology, just calm intelligence shining through honey-colored irises. "You are new," Tunde said. "Amaka, I started today." Her diction betrayed her education. His gaze sharpened. He noticed her eyes flicker toward the tattoo peeking from his sleeve, Yoruba symbol circling a lion. Instead of recoiling, she looked with recognition. Something stirred inside him. Something long dormant. The moment shattered when Fakia burst in. Trailing perfume and entitlement, Tunde stepped back, his face sealing shut. "The maid was leaving," he said coldly. As Amaka walked away, spine straight, she felt his gaze burn into her back. The invisible maid had been seen. Fakia noticed too. From that moment, Amaka became a threat, a stain on Fakia's future empire. The psychological warfare began. Insults disguised as orders, humiliation dressed as correction. Fakia mocked Amaka's hair, her background, her intelligence. Still, Amaka did not bend. She worked silently, dignity intact. From the shadows, Tundi watched. He saw Fakia's cruelty. He saw Amaka's resilience. For the first time, disgust bloomed toward the woman he planned to marry, and something far more dangerous toward the woman in gray. When Fakia screamed for Amaka's removal, Tundi intervened. "She is my personal attendant now," he announced. The room froze. Fakia's humiliation was complete. That night, alone in his study, Tundi spoke of his past, his mother, the armor he built to survive. Amaka listened and saw him. Truly, at a grand gala weeks later, Fakia made her final move. She publicly mocked Amaka, baiting her before powerful guests. Then she tripped her deliberately, spilling champagne across silk and shoes. Fakia raised her hand to strike. The slap never landed. Tundi caught her wrist mid-air. His voice thundered across the ballroom. "This woman is under my protection." Silence swallowed the room. In that moment, the glass fortress cracked not from rage, but from truth. "And you will never speak of her father again." Fakia's caramel skin paled to a sickly shade, her composure crumbling. Tundi's words cut through the room like a sword, public and irreversible. "You are defending a maid in front of our families. The alliance is over," he declared, the weight of his voice silencing the gathered Lagos elite. He looked at them with cold finality, then turned to Fake, offering his arm to Amaka instead. "Amaka, please take my schedule to the car. We are leaving." Her honey-brown eyes searched his dark obsidian face, seeing, for the first time, a man choosing heart over power. Together, their hands met, contrasting mahogany and navy, and they walked through the stunned ballroom, leaving a billion-naira empire sacrificed for a maid's dignity. Outside, the humid Lagos night wrapped around them, a stark contrast to the shattered glass fortress. The silence in the Balogon mansion after the OE disaster was heavy, suffocating, pressing against the marble walls. In the staff kitchen, away from opulence, the air smelled of floor wax mixed with the faint spice of pepper soup. Amaka's hand trembled slightly as she recalled the feel of Tundi's arm beneath hers, a touch that had transformed her from servant to woman worthy of protection. Mama entered the kitchen, her starched iro and buba rustling like dry leaves. No smile graced her weathered bronze face. Instead, her tribal-marked temple caught the dim light, her presence commanding. "You have stirred the hornet's nest, Amaka," she murmured, her voice a deep delta-inflected rumble. Seated across from her, Amaka straightened. "Master Tundi has chosen his heart over his head, and in Lagos that is dangerous," Mama warned. "I didn't ask him to do it, Ma," Amaka whispered, realization widening her eyes. "I only wanted to do my job. Your job has changed. The days are not what they seem. Behind the bone-straight weaves and red-bottomed heels, they are dry bones. The minister's accounts are frozen. Son has gambled away their dividends in London and Dubai. They don't want a merger. They want a parasitic hold on the Balogon empire. They need Tundi's liquidity to cover their father's corruption." Amaka's trained mind began connecting the dots. That desperate push for the wedding date, it wasn't love. It was survival. Mama nodded, pulling a small encrypted keycard from her apron. Fake and Soon are in the West Wing sunroom. They think the staff are asleep or too afraid to listen. They are planning a hostile takeover, using shipping routes and false documents to ruin Tundi's reputation. "We have to tell him," Amaka said, rising. Mama caught her wrist, grip iron strong. "Tundi trusts evidence, not rumors. Use that expensive phone he gave you. Your linguistics degree taught you the power of the record, didn't it?" Minutes later, they moved like ghosts through service corridors, shadows swallowing them. They reached the velvet drapes separating the passage from the sunroom. Voices rose, jagged and desperate. "He humiliated me, son, stripped of her sweetness before the council. He chose that village girl over me." Son's sleazy retort barely hid the greed in his gestures. "The paperwork is ready. We don't need his signature if we can prove he's unstable. The board will follow. We absorb the Balogon roots by Monday, or we go to prison with Papa." Amaka held her breath. Phone poised through the velvet gap. The recording light flickered, capturing every word. Plans for smuggling, forged documents, cold-blooded intent to dismantle Tundi's life. "In this house, the shadows see everything. Let's see if the executor is ready to finish what the enemy started." Monday's Lagos heat clung like a wet shroud, but inside the glass fortress, Tundi stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, polished obsidian skin reflecting pre-dawn light. He had spent the night in his study, vest discarded, the lion tattoo seeming to pulse with his heartbeat. Amaka moved silently beside him, placing a fresh pot of coffee on the desk. The recording weighed in her pocket, a heat against her thigh. Tires screeched. 3 black SUVs tore through the gates, bypassing checkpoints, a betrayal from within. Master Tundi, Amaka whispered. His voice was low, lethal. He rolled his shirt cuffs, lion and geometric tattoos exposed, the executioner of Broad Street reborn. The study doors burst open. Sonati swaggered in, silk Versace shirt unbuttoned, gold chains glinting. Behind him, 4 men in tactical gear, cold-eyed, blood-experienced, not the mansion's regular security. Morning, Tund, Sun sneered, tossing documents onto the mahogany desk. Sign the shipping routes to Admi Group as restitution for my sister's broken heart. Refuse, and accidents happen in glass houses. Tundi didn't look at the paper. His eyes locked on Sun, predatory decided. You've made a grave mistake, he said, and the room vibrated with threat. Sun snapped. I have the guns. That dictates everything. His men flanked the desk, a jagged edge of violence. From the shadows, Amaka watched, heart thundering. Mama Fa's warning rang clear, the battleground where silence was not an option. She reached for the hidden panel, fingers pressing the cold steel override while pressing play on the phone. Sun's confession boomed through the room. Panic flickered across the hired muscle's eyes. Soon's caramel skin turned ashen. Amaka stepped out, regal posture, natural hair-catching light, phone in hand. The executioner moved like lightning. Before a guard could raise his weapon, Tundi's 6'3" frame drove him back into the glass wall. The study became a war zone. Bullets, alarms, sweat, and smoke filled the space. Tundi shielded her, his obsidian body a wall against chaos. Smoke from flashbangs lingered like a Lagos fog. Tundi stood over Sun, pinning him to the shattered window, lion tattoo vivid against smeared blood. You thought you could threaten what is mine? His voice a low vibration shaking the mansion. Sun gasped, gold chains rattling. Tundi, please, it was for survival. The grip tightened. The executioner was ready to reclaim his name. Tundi, stop, Amaka's melodic voice commanded. She stepped forward, hand on his tensed forearm, voice radiant. This is not who you are. Don't let Sun make you into what they said you were. Tundi's chest heaved. For a heartbeat, the lion battled the man his heart wanted to be. Slowly, he released Soon, letting him collapse in cowardice. Turning to the mobile commander, Tundi directed, he has the recording, and the forged shipping manifest is in his briefcase. Take everything, full legal weight, no deals, no settlements. Guards dragged the sobbing Sun from the room. Fake appeared, caramel skin pale, red-bottomed heels hollow on marble. You're choosing her? You're throwing away everything, Tundi's eyes cold, final. By noon, the Adami name is a curse on Broad Street. Your father's accounts are frozen. You are no longer welcome here. Amaka's hand remained in his. You saved me twice today, Chamaka, from them and from myself, Tundi murmured. I only reminded you of the man you already are, she replied, radiant. He corrected gently. Tundi. From now on, it's only Tundi. The glass fortress lay in ruin, but sunlight filtered in, soft amber promising clarity. Amaka's leather-bound folder contained her family's future. Tundi drove Amaka to a secure residential complex. Warm, leafy, alive with sounds of Lagos, far from Banana Island's sterile perfection. Apartments were fully furnished, familiar grain stocked, private security discreet. Her mother, deep bronze skin glowing, embraced Amaka, whispering gratitude. Tundi observed, lion tattoo reminding him, true power lay in restoration, not execution. Evening settled, Amaka returned to the car where Tundi waited. What are you thinking? He asked. I came to Lagos to be a ghost, she said, head on his shoulder. You made me the architect of a dream. He kissed her head, a silent vow. The executioner and the maid were replaced by partners ready to build a legacy on dignity and love. The Balogon mansion's garden bloomed with color and life. Jasmine perfumed the humid air. Igbo and Yoruba feast aromas mingled. Tundi, polished and commanding, waited as Amaka appeared at the stone stairs, ivory lace honoring heritage and modernity, honey-brown eyes radiant. She walked to the altar. He lowered to one knee. In that act, the executioner was truly gone. Jiaka Okafo, I built a fortress to keep the world out. But you walk through it, showing me light. You are not my maid. You are my conscience, my heart, my future. Tears filled her eyes. They sealed their vows with a kiss. Celebration erupted, merging worlds, village and island, tradition and modernity. Guards relaxed, joy filled the space. Later, on the balcony, Tundi wrapped Amaka in his arms. They will call you many things now, Amaka, Queen of Lagos. She leaned back, eyes reflecting city lights. The glass fortress was no longer prison. It was home, built on love, no force could shatter.